Hey everyone, it's James, also known as Splatman. Welcome to my retrospective of the 2024 fresh season of Splatoon 3. If you're interested in reminiscing on all the fun things that happened in Splatoon immediately after Sire came out, keep watching. Man, oh man, has Splatoon 3 started to make a revival. Side Order is now in the air. We have new weapons in the Bro and Dualies class, a brand new hub world, new changes to Splatfests, and wow, oh wow, did I enjoy this season. But did everyone else enjoy the season? That's the answer we are going to find out. This video is the fourth and last in a series of 4 videos covering the duration of Splatoon 3 from September 2023 to May of 2024. So if you haven't seen the first 3 episodes covering the 2023 Drizzle season, 2023 Chill season, and Side Order, I recommend you go check those videos out either right now or at the end of this video. Also, big thanks for helping me reach 500 subscribers. Our next goal is 1,000 subscribers. If you enjoy content like this, please drop a like and also subscribe and turn notifications on to see more cool content like this, so I hope you enjoy it. Anyways, let's get into the retrospective. The 2024 fresh season started on the 1st of March, and already coming off the heels of Sour, you already know this can be a killer season. Let's go ahead and talk about the new weapons introduced for this season. The Dowser Dualies with Ink Mine Killer Whale and the Recycle Brella 24MK1 with Angle Shooter and Big Bubbler, both of which are references to Pro Marina's preferred weapon classes of Dualies and Brellas. The other weapon kits were 50 Scoodao Gecko with Curling Bomb and Splatter Core Screen, Custom E-Leader 4K with Squid Beacon and Kraken Royale, as well as a Scope variant, Cosmic Splash with Splash Wall and Triple Splashdown, Dreadringer D with Squid Beacon and Wave Breaker, Foil Flings and Roll with Suction Bomb and Splatter Color Screen, Luga Dualies Deco with Point Sensor and Trizuka, Nautilus 79 with Suction Bomb and Triple Splashdown, and New Squiffer with Auto Bomb and Zipcaster. When I saw these kits was revealed, I couldn't really care much about the kits, because to me, what makes a weapon my favorite is entirely how I feel. Case in point, I like the NZAP 89 because I own one of those things in real life. Kits, I really don't give a shit. Whining about a kit is automatically trash, or being angry at a weapon is unusual, or that it must have insert specific sub and special weapon here doesn't make a legitimate criticism. It makes you look overly nitpicky and focus more on pissing people off who like a special sub or main weapon instead of recommending such to other people. For maps, we have ourselves a new stage, Marlin Airport, and wow, that's it! Only one multiplayer stage was added this time. Marlin Airport is set on top of an infield terminal at the titular airport with propellers used to move platforms attached to that can move either up and down or left and right. And what I love about the stage is the aesthetic. We're fighting at an airport, with an airport terminal in the background, with planes taking off and landing in the background. Several planes being shouted to real-world planes, notably the Airbus A380 and the Boeing 747, with the D-Cut jet being a Bombardier regional jet, Red Bombardier aircraft, and by extension, Canada's transportation industry. And some airlines were even recreated in Splatoon World. Lufthansa, national airline of Germany, which is where Nintendo's European branch is headquartered, Japan Airlines, national airline of, you guessed it, Japan, where Nintendo's headquartered, and Qatar Airways, which I think I might be the only person who caught that reference. And yes, I was just about to get to that plane in the back of the airport. One of the planes has a livery that features Pro Marine on the starboard side. Is this a reference to their world tour, or is this their private plane? I'm uncertain, but I would also like to talk about the welcome the surprise return of Ink with Square, but I'll get into that later. Lots of new stuff was added in the Salmon Run. First off, the final Salmon map was added in the Splatoon 3, and that was Bone Rattle Arena. It takes place inside a coliseum where there are salmonids who watch you as you slaughter salmonids. This map also contained ink rails, similar to the Splatoon 2 Salmon map Ruins of Arc Polaris. Additionally, this season's big run stage was Eeltail Alley. How did we go from an amusement park, to a college campus, to Undertow Spillway, to a historical site, to a mall, and now the back streets of Splashville? Something tells me that whatever the fence is, the city of Splitsville has her sounds not only have failed, but are getting much more intense, especially since they introduced the Megalodon show last season. However, there was something about this season's big run stage that differentiated from the other ones, and that was the fact that there was no water at all on the stage. Yes, that did allow for more escape routes, but at the same time, this gave more room for salmons to roam, so it was a double whammy situation. But at least I pulled through. The extra work at Salmon Junction, on the other hand, was borderline impossible to complete. I only got to Wave 5 one time, and I even failed that, and I barely escaped Wave 3, which ended in failure numerous times. At least during that event, I did get bronze. How is it that I've gotten halfway through the retrospective and have not mentioned the songs added? Well, it's about time I get to them. First off, we got ourselves a new musical act, Riot Act, which is a new band created by Seaside member Kiki and performed the songs No Plan Survives and Shifting Stars. I think it's important that I acknowledge I find it odd that the other members of Seaside perfectly fine with Kiki forming her own band, but Fry hates everything and has no accomplice, including a collab Bitman did with the Squid Sisters as EMP as well as inviting Pearl Marine to perform the Deep Cut concert in Tokyo, Japan. Shiver herself had no issues with Bitman's clause with the Incapulton Mouse. She wasn't infuriated about not receiving any royalties, and while she, unlike Fry, doesn't outright hate Incapulton, she just considers it inferior to Splatsville. So why the fuck did Fry and Shiver get into a fight with Pearl Marina? That's the whole premise behind the new Splatfest track, Suffer No Fools. Basically, the context is that Off the Hook were set to perform in Splatsville, and being the bitch that Fry is, outright got up in their faces over the whole idea, which led to a rap battle between Off the Hook and Fry and Shiver, who go under the name as Fire and Ice. And Bitman, instead of talking sense into, just said to himself, I better go to the recording studio. I would have pummeled Fry then and there, threatened her and Shiver with telling the entire world about Deep Cut's moonlighting business as bandits and that the trio attempted to murder me and Alterna, unless they agree to go meet Incapulton Square, because Fry's and Incapulton's hatred is really starting to grind my nerves, and I've just reached my limit with it. And yes, if you've completed a round of Aspire for the first time in Side Order, you get to travel to Incapulton Square as you wish. And when the Splatfest is living up, you certainly will feel like getting transported back to 2017, aka the year that the Switch came out and the year that Canada celebrates 150th anniversary of Confederation. I remember it like it was yesterday. Except there wasn't 50 Cent the Splatoon fanbase whining like children about the new remix of Color Pulse. Yeah, so a new remix of Color Pulse was adding Incapulton Square's return, since it only makes sense because Incapulton Plaza's return also featured a remix of City of Color. However, there was notable backlash online from a majority of players who originated from Splatoon 2 and A1, with many of their criticisms summed up as, but I love this song, it was perfect, I liked it. However, I did see many players online who originated with Splatoon 2 state along the lines, I'm not feeling it yet, but I'd like to hear it in game. And for most other players, myself included, really have no opinion and enjoy the song for how it is. So my question is the 2024 remix of Color Pulse cringe, or do Off the Hook get away with it? Well, I think they get away with it, but I think considering the divisiveness between newcomers to Splatoon 3 and veterans from Splatoon 2, this was somewhat a pretty divisive topic. I also did a poll for reference, and it turns out a lot of folks are more neutral to Color Pulse 24, but can I just say it's nice I got 6 people to help me answer this question once and for all? At least the Day 2 song, We're So Back, also known as Headliners High in Japan, was much better received by everybody, regardless of if they started Splatoon for the very first game, or that had picked up the game for the first time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Splatfests. This is the second season that we got 3 Splatfests. With our first one being the Drums vs. Guitar vs. Keyboard Splatfest, or the Light Please Salted vs. Consomme vs. Salted Seaweed Splatfest if you live in Japan. And what is it with Japan and food things? I was on Team Keyboard because I used to play piano back in elementary school and for a short while in high school. The Splatfest marked the debut of Fizz Bangs, which are small bombs that follow you similar to the clams and clam blitz. You can throw them, and once thrown, they'll fly up a short distance and then explode. And yes, there's a special message for you if you get spotted by a Fizz Bang. You start with 1 Fizz Bang in the first minute, 2 in the second minute, and 3 in the last minute. You can get more Fizz Bangs by spawning your opponents, and the maximum amount of Fizz Bangs you can hold is 7. Track our Turf War stage through the Splatfest, and a concurrent Japanese potato chip Splatfest was Flatner Heights, and firing Fizz Bangs off that stage, it was like firing fireworks on Canada Day and waking up the neighbors in the process. Also, I noticed for a Japanese Splatfest that the chip bags all resembled Calbee chips, which is a snack food company in Japan. Think glazed potato chips or Old Dutch Foods as the equivalent. The latter is Canadian. Lastly, this Splatfest introduced a new scoring system, the 4th time in the game's history that the scoring system was overhauled. There are 3 categories for scores: conchos, votes, and clout. The last one divided into 3 subcategories. Originally, the scores were 15 for open and 10 for everything else, and Tricolor Clout was lumped with open because in Drizzle Season 2022, Tricolor mode always had the leading team locked as defenders. Chill Season 2022 gave Tricolor its own category, with the scores becoming 8 for Conchos, 10 for votes, and 12 for Open and Pro, and 15 for Tricolor Turf War. This was later changed to have Fresh Season 23 Freeze, Conch Shells worth 7, Votes worth 8, and Tricore worth 18. I think because of how Tricore Turquoise work from a combat mechanic into a game mode, it makes sense that it's worth the most points overall. For the Splatfest going forward, points are given out for both first and second place, with second place getting half the points the category is worth. Conch Shells is now 90 for first and 45 for second. Votes is now 70 for first and 35 for second. Open and Pro are worth 120 for first and 60 for second. And Tricore is worth 180 for first and 90 for second. Yes, I know the folks would just want the Splatoon 2 scoring system for each category from point, and I have seen this demanded. But let me remind you, because we have 3 teams, and even if they gave 2 points for first and 1 for second, we could end up in a draw like this graph. At this point, I think it's safe to assume the Splatoon fanbase ended up just accepting the scoring system because not only did they end up liking it after they debuted, but it's pretty clear Nintendo does not want these Splatfests to end in a tie. Keyboard won the International Splatfest, winning all Cloud categories and getting second in the 3 Splatfest categories, while Lightly Salted won the Japanese Splatfest, winning in all categories except Conch Shells, which went to Salted Seaweed. Also, if you live in Japan, a special bag of Calbee consomme chips were released with Splatoon free packaging to commemorate the event. Also, seeing that Marina plays guitar, it makes me wonder, would she go on Team Guitar or would she go on Team Keyboard? I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever know. But there's one thing I know about Springfest is that it looked adorable. The third special Splatfest in Splatoon 3. There was some disappointment with the special outfits for Deep Cut since their special Splatfest clothes looked more like their normal clothes, albeit in the colors of pink, green, and turquoise. I did like what they did for the Squid Sisters outfits. They looked like characters at a strawberry shortcake. Their outfits are in pastel colors that are signature colors, with Callie and Marie sporting a pink romper and green dress respectively, with their accessories and accents colored either turquoise or pink, and both were wearing striped tights, with Callie having pink and turquoise striped tights, while Marie had green and pink striped tights. And to match their tights, Callie's shoes were pink with turquoise accents, while Marie's shoes were green with pink accents. These one-side Shivers Frosty Fest clothes are my favorite idol outfits so far. Normal, single player, or special fest. Off the hook special Splatfest outfits were the contest for their outfits in Splatoon 3 according to the Splatoon 3 art book. This looks odd, but at the same time, it looks badass. Now this Splatfest marked the 3rd time Big Man had won a special Splatfest. And holy cow, I was certainly shocked and amazed that Big Man won all the special Splatfests so far as of the time of uploading this video. However, I was really pissed off with the reactions to the results. The teams were between 3 baby animals: Fuzzy Chicks, Bunny Rabbits, and Bear Cubs. Bear Cubs won, and hopefully Mr. Grizz gives all the figures who were on Team Bear Cubs an extra rage or their next Grizzco ships. It didn't take long at the results group for Fry supporters to take their anger to social media, and it was a minefield of saltiness. There were calls for the next Splatfest results style to have the next time Fry loses to rage out in anger over her losing streak, with some even wanting Fry to storm out of the studio altogether. I think Fry, and by extension Rustica, would certainly more likely lose their shit with the fan base for acting so toxic with the results. I think the reactions for the Splatfest results are some of the worst I've seen so far for the Splatoon series, and at that point, you do have a problem when the Splatoon fanbase started out more toxic when they lose, especially since the idols in the game really do not care all about the results and are only in it for a good time. I don't think the members of D-Cut will ever blow up on air for the following reasons. 1. D-Cut are the closest of friends, and they have been best friends since high school. 2. The 3 are not competition freaks, they're in it for a good time. 3. The only time an idol has ever blown up on the air was the North American Oceanic exclusive Port vs. Spoon Splatfest back in August 2018 during Splatoon 2, with Marina finally losing it after having lost 3 Splatfests consecutively, including this one. Marina is currently the idol with the worst overall win rate in the history of Splatoon, having only won 15 of all 41, or a third, of all Splatfests in Splatoon 2, including regional Splatfests, which I do count as separate events. Also, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Had Team Early Bird won the North American Oceanic exclusive Splatfest Early Bird vs. Nile back in May 2015 during Splatoon 1, Marie would have reached her limit with Callie's win streak and finally gotten angry over it. Sometimes I wonder if the American translation team likes to have a little drama in the Splatoon game, since there's no such thing as Isles winning over Splatfest versus what's outside North America, and to a lesser extent, Oceania. However, Oceania and North America often share translations with North America, since the Wii U as historically, Oceania was the third region for Japanese video games to be released. The order went with games by Japanese studios being released in Japan first, followed by North America, followed by Oceania and Europe, getting them last. This is mainly, and I think it has to do with the languages. Released in Europe. The third and final Splatfest in the season was Same Old versus Bucket List versus Say Today, and everyone's first reaction was, why is this one so extreme? Since the question was asking, hypothetically, what would you do at the world's end? In most languages around the world, this was as translated as, including Japanese, what would you do with the world ended tomorrow? With the choices being staying with your routine, fulfilling your dreams, or trying to survive. There was a lot of folks from the Splatoon community pointing out that Pride could possibly snatch a victory in a good way, as it was theorized by the West. Now, because Say Today would possibly be bloated with popularity vote, that could give Pride a chance to win Tricolor, since it's the category her team usually fumbles in. Case in point, all you really need to win at Splatfest is Splatoon 3's Tricolor and either Open or Pro. Everything else is extra. Tricolor often tends to be the hardest category scoring because if a team has the most votes, said team has a higher chance of coming across mirror matches, and obviously they do not count towards the results since, well, that would be a runaway for the most popular team. Hence why questions pop up on social media asking which teams to avoid in a Splatfest. When the actual Splatfest ended up happening, holy shit! Team Say Today was absolutely destroyed to the curb, only getting second place in Pro Vows and not winning anything. It was about mostly between Same Old and Bucket List, and one of the most shocking and satisfying results in the series yet. With Say Today coming last on 60 points, with Same Old seemingly winning the Splatfest and ending ship for another win, which would have pissed off the entire fanbase had it happened. Bucket List took first place in the Tricolor category to overtake Same Old by 20 points in the final rankings, having the victory to Bucket List and by extension Fry. The first thing that went all over the internet was a literal celebration that Fry finally won the Splatfest again, giving her 2 wins internationally and 3 wins overall as the time of uploading this video. Now before you all try to say that Keitanyaki versus Ovanyaki versus Imagawayaki does not count or should not be recognized because it only took place in Japan, I'd like to recommend everyone that you usually do count the Japanese region exclusive Splatfest as separate events, and this is why I keep saying to never stop playing the Splatfest. The first of Fry 3's wins was based on pure luck, the second one was Japan exclusive, and the third win showed genuine improvement over the last 16 months. Man, has it been 16 months since Fry outside Japan won a Splatfest? Wow, time sure has flown and it brought an end to one of the most infamous losing streaks in the history of Splatoon with 12 consecutive losses internationally and 2 Japan-exclusive losses, giving Fry the dubious dishonor of the most losses for a single isle with 14. This also gives Fry the infamous dishonor of having the lowest success rate so far in the history of Splatoon, having lost every single Splatfest as of June 2024 with the exception of the Spicy vs. Sweet Sour Splatfest internationally, the Keitanyaki vs. Ovanyaki vs. Imagawayaki Splatfest in Japan, the most recent one, as of uploading this video, Same Old vs. Bucket List vs. Save the Day. And that was the 2024 Fresh season. And it's hard to imagine it was only a year and a half ago since Splatoon 3 came out, and it sure has been a wild ride. But I have seen now that there has been so much stuff added in that I've seen opinions on the game do a complete 180 from the first year of Splatoon 3. We clearly are headed for a second renaissance of Splatoon 3, and this season has definitely breathed a new life for Splatoon 3. But the big question now is, what happens next? I've seen claims on the internet that this is the penultimate season, but we clearly don't know that yet because there's no confirmation that Sizzle Season 2024 is the last season. If we get a content extension, which would make sense for a content extension to happen since the previous 2 games got one, then I can't wait for even more fun. If Sizzle Season 2024 is the last season, we should enjoy Splatoon 3 while the updates last. Other than that, I'm very excited for this game's future, wherever it will go. 4 videos, 1 weekend, the first 9 months of the second year of Splatoon 3, and I hope you all enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Well, that's all the time we got for this video. Thank you for watching this retrospective. If you enjoy Splatoon content like this, please subscribe and click on the bell to get notified about any future videos. And also, if you feel like it, comment down below what your favorite moment of Fresh Season was, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you next time!